Hey, there we go. That's better.
There we go. Okay, that was wonderful. Thanks, Skype, for resetting my my audio options and setting it to my headset and not my mic.
Oh,
Whatever.
excellent.
Hi. So, yeah, I'm Sam. How you doing?
Yeah, all right, I'm Andrew.
Hi. So, you guys, you're in New Zealand. What time is it there?
11 at night.
Oh, wow. Okay, sorry.
No, it's fine. I'm not in bed anytime soon.
All right. So, I mean, to get this started, I mean, do you want to talk about your game? Like, introduce it as a concept?
Yeah, so there are no real games that we can compare it to. You know, a lot of people on Reddit and stuff have sort of said, you know, is it a mixture between Naval Action and Pirates of the Burning Sea and all that kind of carry on. But
Yeah.
in a real simple summary, it's pirates, ships, all that kind of cool stuff in the historic age of sail, shooting each other in the Caribbean. You know.
Well, I mean, that is similar to those two, I guess, in that base concept.
Yeah, exactly. The concept is hardly unique, even for an
No.
MMO, but yeah.
Well, I guess the important question is, what are you going to do to make it different from games that have already done this in this kind of established genre?
Well, so if we look at the games that there are out in this in the genre so far, the MMOs at least, there's no game, at least in our opinion, that blends playing with actual playing, if you know what I mean. Well, what I mean by that is if you look at, say, Naval Action is closer to a simulation
Yeah.
than it is, say, Pirates of the Burning Sea. Pirates of the Burning Sea was a game. Everything was unrealistic, as a game is, whereas Naval Action, it's too realistic. Nobody wants to spend 3 hours in a single combat instance for the fight to be a draw.
Yeah.
So people want quick, fast-paced action, which we've sacrificed a touch of realism for what we believe is something you can actually play, and then leading on from that, if we compare Pirates of the Burning Sea, the big thing that we're differing from that is the pay-to-win concept, which is, if you read our Kickstarter, something we are definitely against.
Yeah, I mean, is that kind of in defiance of perhaps Pirates of the Burning Sea's descent into pay to win?
It's in defiance of pay to win as in general. Pay to win has massacred the gaming industry. It's replaced skill with credit card.
Yeah.
And that's not on for us.
Are you
And
guys?
no true gamer will say otherwise.
Are you guys veterans of these kind of games? Pirates of the Burning Sea, Naval Actions, kind of thing.
Yeah, definitely. I was actually supporting Pirates of the Burning Sea way back in even early beta, and same with Naval Action. And going back even further, we picked up the original Sid Meier's Pirates.
Yeah.
And,
Well, I think I think everyone who's interested in this started with that, didn't they?
Yeah, exactly. You'd have to.
Yeah. It's funny how it all just comes from that, just wanting to make a new one of that, but with forever other people and to make your own, really.
Yeah, well, exactly. I mean, if I think back to Pirates of the Burning Sea, which is a game that I loved and I played it for many years.
Same.
Yeah, there are people. Oh, excellent. There are people who, as the game started to decline in overall quality, they, you miss something. When you're a part of an online community for so many years and just have it taken away from you by the people who gave it to you, it's disheartening almost.
Yeah, it's disappointing, perhaps.
Yeah. Exactly. You lose your game, and you lose all your gaming friends. You lose your gaming community, and you got to start again.
So, I mean, I'm going to use Pirates of the Burning Sea as a kind of benchmark for this. I hope that's okay.
Yeah.
I imagine going forward in your development cycle, you're going to find that quite a lot. People are comparing it to Pirates of the Burning Sea, because in the Kickstarter, I definitely did get this feel. I mean, visually, even in terms of the gameplay, the way you were talking about it, it felt like you were very clearly, you didn't want to make direct reference to the game, but I felt like it was very much, we're going to do Pirates of the Burning Sea our way and hopefully better. What do you think about that?
Well, absolutely. I mean, to give you an honest insight, when we discuss it with my other dev team, we use Pirates of the Burning Sea terms. That's how we talk about our game.
It's so
to
ingrained,
each other.
isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, to the point where we're with our ship tier system, for example, where we've referred to things as mastercrafts and sleeks, when that's not at all what they are. But that's just the easiest way to explain what we mean to each other.
So, I mean, how much is this game going to be a direct, maybe pastiche is the word, to Pirates of the Burning Sea? Is it? I mean, how are you going to make it your own?
So, well, Pirates of the Burning Sea it was a fantastic game. I'm not trying to
Of course,
talk down at it at all, but there was a lot of emphasis on additionals, and what I mean by that is Pirates of the Burning Sea. People played it for ship combat.
Yeah.
There is with every game there is that one core reason people play it, especially with such a niche game like Pirates of the Burning Sea. I mean, look at games like World of Warcraft. You can't really say there's one specific reason people play it. There are all sorts of people play it because they hang out with friends, they want to gear up, all that kind of carry on.
Yeah.
But with Pirates of the Burning Sea, it was very rare that you ran into people who played the game strictly for the avatar combat. Strictly to ping kite around a ship, strictly to do all the epic instances.
I don't know, man. I do miss brawling.
I do miss bowling as well.
What about eco though? I mean, I remember huge numbers of people who were dedicated just to doing eco.
True, but again, eco was sort of central to the ships.
Yeah,
Everything
it was linked yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And I think perhaps the way that we're differentiating the game is, at the moment, I'll be honest, we haven't even we're going to have an avatar system employed, avatar combat system employed, but I couldn't tell you what it's going to look like at this stage. All the assets, everything has gone only into ship design and the combat.
Yeah.
And I think I'm not necessarily saying that it's going to make us, different by any means, but we are trying to pump out a higher level of quality for our core gameplay, which is the ship PvP combat. Yeah. I'd be lying if I said that we hadn't put, at least 30 times the amount of work hours and effort into PvP as opposed to any other aspect.
Well, I mean, that's when you're talking about a naval ship-to-ship combat game. I think that's important because
exactly.
I mean, the avatar combat eco. It's all like we said. It's in support of it, not the focus.
Yeah, exactly.
Talking about your kind of your PvP, your realm v realm aspect. From your Kickstarter, it seems it's going to be pretty similar again to Pirates of the Burning Sea in that it's about port battles. Is that a fair assumption?
Yeah. Again, we've changed the word battle to conquest, but anyone who reads it reads port battle, which is exactly what it is. But we've taken a different approach to it, so it'll be quite a detailed answer. You have to bear with me.
Please.
So we've got 3 different types of ports, so to speak. So you've got your basic economy ports, which are your resource ports, which are, if you think back to Pirates of the Burning Sea, these would be, your I can't even remember, like your Santa Clara. Exactly, like the places that you only get the teak wood and stuff from, like the raw material ports. Then your second tier of port is a processing port, where those resources rather are then turned into planks or components of the ship, and the ships can be made either at a resource port or the large line ships have to be made at a deep water port. So your Havanas and your Chaotic Markets, those places, and where the port battle size is then restricted, and the ship size is then restricted based on those ports. So you take a tier 1 port, a simple production port. We're limiting those to 12 versus 12, which is effective, which in Pirates of the Burning Sea is 2 full 6 groups on each side.
Yeah.
And limiting to, we haven't specified which ship we're limiting it to, but we're not going to see first rates at those port battles because we're sort of going, it's not a deep water port, first rates can't be there, there's going to be no first rates sort of thing. And then you're going to scale up into the 24 versus 24s, which are your resource ports, your production ports, and then you're going to scale up again into what we're hoping eventually is going to turn into like a 48v48 or even bigger.
Big mass scale battles.
The big ones where you can bring the first rates, and it'll sort of be the only point in making them, to be honest. And we're doing that as well because we're sort of trying to say, effectively, one small, relatively small society, or as we're calling them, companies, can, take control and take hold over a port. And if they're effective enough at defending it, then that should be able to help prevent sort of, if you think of EVE Online, your Goon Swarm-esque groups of players coming in and just steamrolling everything because,
so you're not going to make it like necessarily nation-driven. Individual companies can take ports themselves?
Absolutely. If you are responsible for flipping the port, then your company is responsible for attacking it. You'll be given primary invitation to aggress the port. If you sort of think of how Pirates of the Burning Sea did, the amount of points that you got on it, gave you a chance. But the way it works is that if you are the leader of the group that is responsible for the port going into port battle, then you are definitely invited and then so is everyone in your group. And if people in your group aren't online, then it passes on to people in your company, and if people in your company aren't online, then it passes on to the nation. So if you can't, if you're trying to take a port with not even having 12 people online at the time, then it can get a bit tricky. But if you're able to assemble 12 players, then you might be able to do one port battle every few days, in theory.
Great. How many ports do you think there'll be on the map
To
fight over?
It's a good question. We're sort of trying to find that awkward balance of being historically accurate and giving enough content. If you had to think of a game using Pirates of the Burning Sea, if you had to think of that, we'd probably say we would have that number of ports plus a third more.
Okay, so you want to have a good amount of proper realm v realm combat.
Yeah, a definite amount. But again, the main reason for that is we are, again, going for the historical accuracy, we are having a few nations in the game that weren't in Pirates of the Burning Sea as playable nations, like Americans and the Dutch. You couldn't play either of those, but they had a presence, in the Spanish main at least. So that's sort of how we're compensating for it. I'd say overall it's probably going to be pretty similar per number of faction.
Okay.
But because we've got more factions, we need more ports.
Makes sense. It does seem that you guys, again, using your Kickstarter, because that's kind of most of the information I have access to, as well as the website, because it's pretty new. Was it 4 days ago did you put it up?
Yeah, something like that. We've been working on it for a while, but all the information is it's pretty new.
It's a pretty good. I think it's a pretty good reaction so far. What is it, close to 1,000 raised? I think
something like that, and that's 1,000 raised without any attempt at advertising.
Yeah.
We didn't look at we've just sent it out to people we know, and they've passed it on. So
yeah, I think it's very good. I mean, you got 3 months, so let's hope we can. But so you guys seem to focus quite a lot on being very, very much against the concept of pay to win.
Definitely.
So, do you want to talk about your monetization policy?
Sure. So we are doing something which I know is going to be a natural deterrent to players, which is the subscription model.
Yeah.
Now that is something that does definitely drive players away from games, but it's not something that is uncommon. In the gaming community, a lot of people will say, subscription games are dying off, and then the other people on the other end of the spectrum are saying, well, EVE Online, World of Warcraft, and Final Fantasy XIV are only getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and these are all subscription-based games. People can say, well, yes, but World of Warcraft's population has dwindled. Well, it's dwindled down to 7 million. That's hardly dwindling in the grand scheme of things. And also the item shop is the other intended method of monetization. Again, strictly aesthetic, because
right, purely aesthetic.
Yeah.
What kind of aesthetic options will be available?
Big hat feathers is definitely going to be an option. And then we are looking at, well, again, it depends on how much we want to offer the players versus how much, what we consider premium. Things like just having the chance to name your ship, for example, isn't a premium option, but maybe the chance to have it splattered across your sails or along your hull, that might be something that you pay once and you can do it on every ship forever and ever and ever.
Right.
Things like that. And then for the most part, I guess like every other MMO, like seasonal content, if you want to look like Santa Claus, and you can buy the Santa Claus outfit when it comes to Christmas. If you want to run around as the Easter Bunny, then you buy, just rotational seasonal content.
On that topic, what's your kind of plan for the number of players you'd expect to join the game at launch?
Well,
difficult to say, I know.
It is difficult to say. At launch, that's a while away, because, we would be hoping at launch at least to have about 1,000 players total, not total for the game, total per faction. Except for the pirates, we're expecting the pirates to have about as much as every other faction combined, because it's a
Pirates of the Burning Sea, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So, and of course, like Pirates of the Burning Sea, they've got to be mechanisms that say, yes, we understand the pirates have got 6 times what everyone else combined has, but I
think that was a serious issue with Burning Sea, wasn't it? The fact that
it was quite an issue. They weren't at enough of a disadvantage, I feel.
Yeah, I think the way the mechanics were set up, it was very much designed, I feel, that to attract players to the pirate faction and then hopefully lead them to the nations as kind of the more sophisticated combat, gameplay, but it never really happened like that.
Yeah,
although I'll still play England till I die.
Well, yeah, fair enough. I played the British on. I actually, to be honest, I was just a massive cross teamer. I played everyone on Pirates of the
I
Burning
don't think
Sea.
I ever left. I left the British once to go to France, and that was because my society mates did the same.
Ah, fair
I
enough.
felt a traitor forever.
Yeah. But yeah, and of course, like I said, with our game, we definitely have a system in place to help cull the obvious population advantage the pirates will have.
Such as?
So, first of all, we're being true to the pirates. You join when you join the pirates. You join what is effectively the, inverted commas, pirate faction. But once you then, if you were to join a pirate company or crew, as we're calling them for the pirates, you can then secede from this pirate faction, and then you become your own miniature factional entity, which is basically at war with everybody,
Okay.
regardless. So, if you think about what pirates were, pirates weren't loyal to other pirates. Why should they be? They're pirates. Yeah, no, there's no honor amongst
The
thieves,
whole
and
Brethren of the Coast thing was a bit of a stretch. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So we sort of think, well, I mean, yes, there are gonna be people that want to play pirates. There's gonna be lots of people that want to play pirates, and the idea of inverted commas forming your own faction is probably going to drive even more people to play pirates. But we're sort of hoping that what the pirates will do is they'll sort of dwindle down into a whole bunch of miniature, but not so miniature, crews,
That's
which
an
are
interesting
all,
concept.
all of each other.
I think that's something you should definitely put on. I don't think that's on the Kickstarter, is it?
I'm unsure. We're sort of trying to save as much of the content, like the British, lots of text content for videos like these, just so we're not overloading people.
I would definitely, especially we've trying to advertise to the ever dwindling Pirates of the Burning Sea following. Definitely try and focus on that because I think that's a really interesting concept. The idea of like a divisive pirate faction dwindling into smaller ones. That's an interesting concept. Creating kind of a like pirate entropy.
Yeah,
Maybe
of course.
call it that. I like that.
Excellent.
What is your? So I mean, obviously this is a niche genre. This is going to be a niche game, regardless of how
Yes.
well it does. It's just
Of course.
the sad truth of no matter how wonderful we think it is, appears that most people don't really like ships, which is a shame. But what's the plan for if it doesn't do well? How long can you continue to maintain and progress the game on release if it doesn't reach expectations?
Well, we've got plans, in place for that, and really, we're intending to deliver the same amount of quality, no matter how much money we get. But it's just that it's the time frame.
Yeah.
If we get quadruple our estimate, then we'll bring things out slightly faster. If we get half of what we want, then we'll bring things out slightly slower. That's really where it's going to stem from, is a matter of how long the game will actually take to make. It's obviously it's a complicated process. It's not something that can happen overnight. We've been working on this for quite a while already, actually.
Do you guys have any form of private funding to sustain you guys in development?
No, not right now. We have had offers, but we've not looked at any offers seriously.
Okay.
Just but we're wary. We're sort of taking a little bit of if you're familiar with another Kickstarter, Kingdom Come Deliverance, which was very successful. Yeah, they didn't take any private funding until well and truly after the Kickstarter, just so they could sort of have on the table how powerful their decisions were. How much they could drive the creation of their game.
So is there any concern about funding if the Kickstarter, for example, doesn't do well? I mean, is there will it still go forward if the Kickstarter doesn't reach success?
Well, it will definitely go forward. If it doesn't reach success this time around, all it means is we'll see another Kickstarter in a few months once we've got more, more to push. Yeah. So if it doesn't go through this time, you just see a new Kickstarter in a few months with more stuff.
I'd hate to be hard hitting, but and what happens if that again fails to get traction?
Yeah, these are the hard questions.
It's the sad truth with Kickstarter.
It is
isn't it?
definitely, yeah. Well, if that was to happen, if it was probably maybe not after the second, but if it was after a third time, then we would probably more seriously look at the private funding offers we've had.
Okay, so it sounds like you guys are pretty committed to getting this out there.
Definitely, it will get made one way or another.
All right. Best case scenario, it gets funded in a month. It wildly exceeds your expectations. You double your money. How soon do you think we can expect to see at the very least, like an open beta?
Um, well, our current time frame was to have sort of a playable module of the ship combat around September, October this year. And then, again, because the tricky thing is with the beta is that we've got to then, everything. We don't want to release a poor quality beta, and then people who play the game will say, "Oh, it's just because it's in beta." We want beta to sort of be, find bugs. If you find a bug, we'll give you an in-game trinket, and we'll fix the bug. We don't want beta to be, everything's going to be fixed in 3 months on the actual release. So, and so obviously depending on funding, the actual open beta, that could be anywhere between 18 to 24 months.
All right. So, how big is your team, by the way?
So working directly on the project, like today, we've got. Oh, jeez. It's not huge. I think, excluding contractors and freelancers and all those kind of people, our immediate core dev team is only about 7 people, I think.
7 people. All right. Well, that's actually pretty sizable. I mean, for and especially for a newer, it's just released.
Yeah, but we do have we do a lot of freelancing as well, primarily for pretty pictures and all that kind of.
So you don't have like a resident artist, perhaps.
We do have a resident artist, but because he's the only one and he's got RL commitments, everyone who's working on the team, we're doing absolutely for free.
Right. So you guys have like other occupations outside of it.
Yeah, we do. That's how we're funding this.
Yeah, that was my next question. Really, is like, it's interesting to find when people. I mean, if people band together to make a game, I mean, do they privately fund it? Did they save up for years? That kind of question.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, great. I have a very, very specific question.
Of course.
You might not be able to answer it this early, but so you can tell I'm now a veteran of the game with the way I'm asking this. So, ship-to-ship combat. How finalized do you think that's going to be? As a starter question. Like,
at what point in time? Sorry.
As in now, what kind of details have you finalized of how the ship-to-ship combat will work?
Oh, so the ship-to-ship, how the ship-to-ship combat is going to work is pretty much set in stone. With it's not 100% made yet, but the concept and the design is all in place. Yeah. So
my specific question then is the way in which a ship would fire.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's, for me, that's always been the most interesting thing when looking at these kind of games: naval action, Pirates of the Burning Sea, Sid Meier's Pirates. In what way does the player have control over what they shoot? I mean, in Pirates of the Burning Sea, it was you have a firing arc, and then you can select a target, and each individual shot has like a percentage chance to hit. Whereas, for example, in Sid Meier's Pirates, you fired your rounds in more of an outward fashion, and they kind of zoomed in on the target. Do you know what I'm trying to ask?
Yeah.
It's difficult to portray.
I know what you mean. So our one, I'll put it out there. It's not going to be like naval action. When it's not going to be aim down the sight, fire one cannon at a time if you really want to. Right. It's not going to be like that. Again, we're going for the fast pace.
Realism kind of.
Yeah, exactly. Sacrificing realism, and again, because we're sacrificing realism, we are going to have a concept similar to Pirates of the Burning Sea, which is your firing arc.
Yeah.
But it's not going to be as static as Pirates of the Burning Sea. So if someone's running away from you, and you've got a percentage chance of say 70%, you've got a percentage chance of 70% from when you hit the space bar.
Yeah. But
they're sailing away. So as your shots are moving, your percentage chance gradually decreases, and so it gives you an idea if you were to hit them now at this point in time, how likely you would be to actually land a shot. That's Pirates of the Burning Sea. Sorry, that's our model.
Okay.
What we haven't incorporated for in the percentage chances, what your chance actually is. So how far away they are.
Oh yeah, the maths of it.
Yeah, exactly. The maths is it's there somewhere.
Far off. So again, it's the more. I guess perhaps the question should maybe been framed more: how realistic is the shooting going to be? Yeah, because I mean, with naval action, the rolling broadside, the individual cannon fire, it's cool looking. It's very cool looking, sleek, but it gameplay wise, like, it leaves a little bit to be desired. Have you played?
If we had to.
Have you played the game Rebel Galaxy?
I have not.
So Rebel Galaxy is an interesting game. It's like a space adventure RPG action-y kind of thing, and you.
Right.
It's an interesting concept, but it very much relies on broadsides. It's like frigates in space, and the way they do it is quite interesting. The way that you have broadsides, they're lasers or what have you. But
Yeah.
they charge individually, and the way they fire is they fire in a true arc. So if their arc is how they will shoot, so it will shoot out at 135-degree angle, and whatever you hit in
yes.
that angle is what you hit. So generally, you find you need to get like very, very close to something to properly hit it. So that's like perhaps another way of describing that kind of combat.
Yeah, no, if I had to describe how the cannons fire, I would definitely say you can't go wrong by thinking of the Pirates of the Burning Sea model,
Right.
which does mean if they're right on the edge of your arc, but they're 50 meters from you, then even the cannons right at the front of the ship, they're going to hit them because,
Right. So, leading to Pirates of the Burning Sea, what will you do to incentivize the dwindling fan base of Pirates of the Burning Sea to come over? Because it's starting to sound like Caribbean Conquest is kind of going to be Pirates of the Burning Sea our way. If you think that's a fair.
It's kind of the way. Again, we mean obviously no disrespect to Pirates of the Burning Sea. Again, It's just the easiest way to explain it. But our inspiration for this game did stem from Pirates of the Burning Sea, and it served as
Of course.
as the idea, so to speak. And as you said earlier, because it is quite a niche market, we don't really feel as if we need to sell the game too much to people who are already playing it, because people who are already playing it obviously must, it's some form like the game.
Yeah.
So, we have made people aware of it. We haven't sort of been silly about it, going onto like the Pirates of Burning Sea, forums or Facebook page and said, "Oh, leave their game, come to us." We haven't done that or anything.
leave that for the interviews and the articles, I guess.
But we've definitely let a few people know, that this is a thing. People have been, supporting us right from the start. They've been watching us as we've been developing it long before the Kickstarter came along. And so we are anticipating that we're going to get players come over, but our intention isn't to kill Pirates of the Burning Sea. It's just we want to play it again, but we want to play it, when we played it, not what it is now.
It's a very different experience. Again, not to speak poorly of the game, it's gone through so many changes, iterations, alterations. It's very different to what we remember, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And because Pirates of the Burning Sea is, what they call a contained game, and technically, obviously, I suppose Caribbean Conquest will be as well, they have to undergo changes, otherwise people will get bored with it. But because you're in, a confined space, that you can't, it's not a lot of wriggle room. Not like with more sandboxy games like EVE Online, where you can make a change and half the people won't even feel it, and, some people won't care about it. Yeah. One or two people might be upset about it, and, it's just how it is. You make a single change in a confined game and everybody feels it. Yeah. And that's how it was with Pirates of the Burning Sea, sadly. Towards the end, when they removed the first and second rates, or the Invincible and the Triumphant variants, at least, everybody felt that.
When you said that, in the very deepest core of my being, I felt rage.
Yeah.
Angry.
You were there. You know what I mean? Everybody had that.
If anyone who played the game, it was just this moment of, what? No.
Yeah. So you're telling me I've lost this ship that we've worked for months to get.
I played for a long time after that as well.
So, Same.
How many?
Same.
Is the question that I feel like to ask. I'm sorry if this is too much. This very focused on Pirates of the Burning Sea. This is.
No, of course.
This is how it's. I saw the game post when you posted it to. Obviously, when you posted it to the MMORPG subreddit. So, obviously, my link to this, my interest in this, is quite linked to my love of Pirates of the Burning Sea.
Yeah.
And the desire to see something perhaps newer and better.
Oh, no, absolutely. It is the easiest language to speak in, I suppose, for this kind of game.
How many times did you go back to it? I think that's a cool question I want to ask.
Oh, countless. I've got conversations with people saying, "Oh, I'm coming back," and then I'd never speak to them again. I wouldn't speak to them for a few months. I've got some conversations with people that start with, "Oh, I'm going to come back to play Pirates of the Burning Sea," and then 2 months later, "Oh, I'm going to come back to Pirates of the Burning Sea." 2 months later, "Oh, I'm going to come back," and I never do. What do I do?
I think it's about 5 times for me.
Yeah,
I think it's something like that.
The first time I left Pirates of the Burning Sea was actually on the Australian server Defiant, and it was after the population had started to go down, and I don't know, I'd sort of made somewhat of a name for myself on the Defiant server, which admittedly is not difficult to do when you're on an Australian server and, you know, all 12 people know you.
Yeah.
But I'd made a name for myself, and I wasn't actually happy with like how I, you know, sort of had evolved that character. I mean, I played back on Invincible even, which is when the Australian server was in Australia, you know. So, and then just, yeah, I progressed, and so the main reason for the first time I quit is because I developed this almost toxic reputation with some players. I mean, I was only, you know, I was young at the time. This is going back years and years and years now, you know. So I must have been, you know,
it was an age ago, wasn't it?
Teenage, you know, how long ago was that now? That must be almost going back sort of 10 years.
Oh my god, how long? How old is this game? I've been playing it for so long.
Yeah, this is ridiculous.
Yeah,
you know?
it's coming moments when you realise this game has been going on for just a long time. The release date was 2008.
Yeah, and I think I picked up in the beta in 2006, early 2007, or you know, something like that. That's a long time ago. You know? Yeah. So when I first started, I was quite young, and it's not necessarily that I was, you know, bringing harm to the game. It was just that through how I was playing it, I just developed a negative reputation, and so my main reason for quitting is because, you know, I wasn't allowing other people to have fun. I was, you know, I was being the kid, so to speak.
So, but I mean, because of that, I mean,
many times other.
I think anyone who really wants to make these kind of games, they have to have the knowledge of Pirates of the Burning Sea, and the knowledge, perhaps, as an example of what can go wrong, how things can change. So, I mean, would you say perhaps maybe this development of this game, whilst also obviously being like your own project, is it perhaps, I don't know, maybe an example to Pirates of the Burning Sea, as it's to say, well, we can do it better?
Well, it's tricky because, you know, again, because we're dealing with this specific niche genre, it may seem that way, but I mean, at the end of the day, what we're doing is we're making a game.
Yeah.
You know, like when Ion, the Tower of Eternity came out, they didn't come out as an example to World of Warcraft. You know, when Guild Wars was released, they didn't come out as an example to Ion. You know, these are just games which just happen to share the same sort of thing, which is, you know, run around, kill monsters, gear up, and that kind of carry on.
This one's more specific. This genre is so specific.
Yeah, which is why it's very easy to sort of say, oh, you're just making a Sid Meier's Pirates ripoff. You know, you're copying Pirates of the Burning Sea. But no, we're definitely not doing it just to say that we can make a better game of Pirates of the Burning Sea. Obviously, there is a little bit that's, you know, friendly competition, but I would more. Rather than think of it as a look at all you Pirates of the Burning Sea players, look at how much better we've done it, I would much rather bring all the Pirates of the Burning Sea players back together again to sort of play the game that originally brought them all together, because it was quite populated. You know, when the game was at its peak, there was a lot of people.
Pretty big game, yeah. It was
never
enormous. WoW, but
no, but it never will be. You know, not with again niche genre, and you know.
We can dream though. We can dream.
Of course.
Going on to more of like in terms of the development team, personally, what kind of experience do you guys have in game development, or is this you guys' first project?
This is our first MMO.
Right.
We've all worked in some capacity on other games. Like none that I could, you know, name for the other team, but you know, I've worked on. Like I myself I've done a lot of social media marketing and all that kind of carry, and that's my sort of field in the game development world, so to speak. But we've developed a lot of, you know, indie games together, and we've developed, you know, like not even games, just things we've put together for the fun of it, just to see what we could do, and you know.
Anything people might know, people could put names to?
Oh no, definitely not. No, definitely not. Yeah.
Anything you'd feel proud to share?
To be honest, I couldn't tell you. I highly doubt it. You know, game design, it's been our hobby. Yeah. And the only time it became serious was when we decided to put this together, and then it stopped being a hobby. Yeah. So this is effectively going to be our first major game, but we're not walking into it with no experience.
Right.
You know, it has been challenging, but
yeah, I mean, people say the biggest difficulty any game designer can ever have is to try and make an MMO.
Yeah, exactly. And well, we're going in.
Head first. Yeah, that was mainly my question. Is an MMO going to be your first leap? Do you think maybe is it perhaps too ambitious? What do you think about that?
Well, at the start, yes. Before I even got into game design, I just thought MMOs they were just the end. Like, you had to be a multi-billionaire Chinese mogul who just says, make this MMO, and you throw $1 billion at people and it gets done.
Yeah,
that's how I saw MMOs. But then I became aware of very small, like, popular MMOs, which are probably even bigger than the MMO that we're anticipating to make, like Vendetta Online, for example. It's made by 2 people. Yeah, it's an entire fully functioning MMO. Admittedly, they did have a bit more experience, but yeah, it's at the start of the project, I would definitely say it's too ambitious. But just seeing what the team has made, the progress that we've made, what I've got to get, what I've actually gotten my hands on and been able to play, I would say that it's not too ambitious anymore. I'd say it's quickly becoming a reality.
Okay, that's great. I mean, so you're finding it's not too difficult? I mean,
oh, it's very difficult, but
but not beyond the realms of reason.
No, not beyond the. I feel if we were making an easier game, it would be a lot more easy, so to speak. But if we were to go and say, let's remake EVE Online, we'd be having a lot more trouble.
Oh yeah, with the sheer. Well, I mean, even in this though, the intricacies, the balancing of the economy. On that topic, the economy. What are you guys thinking? Sorry to flip between topics. Like,
oh no, absolutely, it's fine.
It's fires of brain. The economy. I mean, obviously, again, using this Pirates of the Betting Sea, using Sid Meier's Pirates. The way in which the economy, is it going to have kind of player driven? Is it going to, I mean, you mentioned the 3 different ports, so I know that it's going to have obviously like eco ports and development ports. Is it going to be mainly player driven?
Yeah, so the economy is, it's kind of a combination of Pirates of the Burning Sea, EVE Online, and Arcade. Okay. In that, so to start off, all perishable or materials are perishable. You can't log in one day, harvest, say poultry or something, then log off for 3 months, come back and everything's fine. Because you've spent 3 months away from the game. Of course it's gone off. Yeah. So we're not but at the same time we're treating economy as a more short term ambition for players. Not that they participate in it for any less amount of time than they would otherwise, but that the amount of effort that goes into creating the biggest ships, while still a lot of effort in the scope of the game, is not as significant,
right?
As say making a Titan in EVE Online, or even making the original first rates or even fourth rates. Back in the very early days of Pirates of the Burning Sea, the Alex fourth rate was the scariest ship on the ocean for months because no one had anything bigger.
Is that going to create perhaps like an overabundance of ships? Would you say?
No, we're preventing that with our renown system, which is our gateway to an overabundance of ships and also to prevent the pay to win.
Right. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Yeah, of course. So, again, you're familiar with Pirates of the Burning Sea, so you're familiar with the term, the writs. You go kill players, you'd get marks of victory or marks of trade, and you'd go trade them in eventually, or you just buy them all from the auction house and you'd trade them in for a writ. Then you go buy the ship deed, and there you go, you get your pretty new PvP ship. Well, first of all, so we're using this system called Renown. Renown, right off the bat, is not tradable. So in no way can you cash in on someone else's PvP kills.
Okay.
And second off the bat, Renown's never lost, which is good, but Renown is spent, which is fairly standard for any currency.
Yeah.
But what we're going for here, and I'll throw in the pay to win here just so you got an idea. So you've got someone who wants to pay to win a ship that costs 15 Renown. Now, you get 1 Renown point awarded for 1 effective kill that you get. So that is, if you're in a 1v1 situation and you kill the other player, sink their ship, should I say, you get 1 Renown point. If you're in a 6 versus 6 and you sink one of the other players, you get 1/6 of a Renown because it's that 1 kill divided amongst your 6 group. So, that entire fight is worth at most 1 Renown to a person, a single player.
Makes sense.
So if someone with a 50-50 kill death ratio can forever sail ships that only require, 1 renown, which is where we've got about 60% of the ships in the game. So we're encouraging people and telling them that the majority of the ships in the game, you need to have at least 1 PvP kill every now and then to be able to sail. 1 effective PvP kill. So if we look at the ships that could be considered, overpowered or what have you, these could be things that cost up to 15 renown or more. You've got a player who wants to pay to win. Okay, so the first thing they're going to need is they're going to need 2 accounts or a very willing friend who's willing to die for them 15 times. But they're probably not going to find that very easily. So they're going to have a second account. Also on the second account, they're also going to need to make sure that they're on different factions. They're also going to need to make sure that these factions are at war. Again, because we've got a unique rotation of who's at war with who, there's no guarantee that if I make a Frenchman and a Brit, that they're going to be at war with each other. Someone might do that and be like, cool, go sink my own ship, and they're at peace for the next 3 months, and they've just wasted money on a second account that they're probably not going to use if they're trying to pay to win.
Right.
Anyway, so let's just say that they've got their second account, their factions are at war, so now they've got to kill their own ships, their own account, 15 times. Bearing in mind that, like any good system that offers rewards, as soon as the player has died, there's going to be a wait time, probably between 30 minutes to an hour, where that player does not reward any renown. So this could be, for a 15 renown ship, this could be up to 15 hours of waiting, let alone actually killing. So, if someone was to play the game for 15 hours a day, which is unlikely, that's the majority of it is spent waiting for your deadhead, to use the Pirates of the Burning Sea term.
Yeah.
And then, so cool. So let's just say they do that. They've spent 3 days killing their own account every now and then. They've got 15 renown. So now they've got their 15 renown writ. They're still going to buy the actual ship, but if they've gone this far with pay to win, they're probably going to go a little bit further and, buy more captain's commissions, sell them, and buy the actual ship. So now they've got this 15 renown ship, and now they're going to put their ship together. And then they're going to go out, and because they have no idea how to play, they're probably going to get sunk, and then they've got to start this entire process over again.
Right.
While avoiding MC Banhammer, because this is something that we're not allowing.
Do you guys think you'll have the systems in place to track that down? Is alternate accounts going to be a bannable offense?
Alternate accounts is, well, it's not necessarily going to be a bannable offense, because the way we've got the game design, there is no need for someone to have more than 1 account, unless they're doing this, in which case it is a bannable offense. But just having more than 1 account, no, it's not in itself a bannable offense. But farming renown on your own characters, that will be.
So you don't foresee it as a particular issue. You don't think the player base might do this? Those who want to progress the most.
Well, again, it's tricky. I mean, maintaining 2 accounts just so you can have a ship, which you will get over time anyway. It is silly, and I mean, there will be people that do this. There are people out there that are like this, but we've just we do have to deal with them. No system is perfect.
Yeah.
But what we're sort of hoping for is that we can avoid those who are, in all honesty, lazy, to be blunt. Because most people, you think about the pay-to-win games, most people have no problem swiping their credit card once they've got everything. But a lot of people don't want to have to do it 3 times because that's just too much effort.
So you guys are firmly against the concept of someone buying progress within your games?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we've got the Captain's Commission, which is, if you think of EVE, it's similar to a Plex. But I mean, really, what that gives you is that either gives you a small amount of, in-game currency, the primary in-game currency. It gives you credits to spend on aesthetic item shop, or it gives you 30 days of gameplay. Whatever the community values 30 days of gameplay at, I suppose, is what
so the EVE Online route.
Worth.
Yeah.
Exactly, the EVE Online route. But again, what our sort of our thinking in our system is if someone genuinely earns that 15 kill. Ship and they don't lose it. If they're maintaining a 15-to-1 kill death ratio, then in all honesty, they deserve that ship. If they're killing 15 people for every 1 death, they've earned it. In our opinion.
So
and yeah.
Question about that. So obviously the ships, the better ships that require more renown, they're going to be obviously better ships. Yeah.
Well, they'll be bigger, better. It's sort of objective.
Do you mean like in comparison of first rates to third rates, size and firepower, but lacking maneuverability kind of thing, or?
Exactly. Your first and second rates will be the most expensive in terms of renown.
Yeah.
But they're not very viable in 1v1 instances.
So does this create a situation though where players would need to be farming individual PvP 1v1 6v6 to get renown so as to be able to buy first rates so as to be able to participate in RVR? Would that be it?
No. Well, yes, that is one way of doing it, but there is a renown award for participating in the lower tier RBR as well.
Right.
So,
okay. So there is a secondary method of gaining, and not just in individual combat.
Yeah, of course. If you're responsible for the capturing of a port, then you do get a small renown bonus. It's not going to be huge, but it'll be significant for an individual.
So you said that renown is tied like permanently to your character. It's not a tradable currency.
That's correct.
So what happens in situations wherein, like, again, using Pirates of the Burning Sea, so there was, obviously, they worked collaboratively as a group so as to be able to purchase and build bigger ships, and then use those ships and give those ships as a resource depending on who needed it and who could participate in port battles when they could. But in your system with the Renown, it seems that you're only going to be able to have first rates, for example, tied to an individual character. So they have to be online to participate in the battle.
Well, we do have another system which is still in the very early design stages right now, which is the idea of almost renting out a society ship to players of a specific rank. Because there is quite a lot you can do with a guild system. So obviously, the guild leader has say over what goes, who can be allocated what ship. But say your guild leader thinks there are 8 people in your guild. I keep using the term guild, you know what I'm saying. That are responsible or skilled enough to sail a first rate. Then he can allocate his first rate to be sailed by only one of those 8 people, assuming they're in a port battle. And then it won't be his first rate anymore. It'll then become the society's. He has control over who is able to use them for a port battle instance only. He can't bugger off with it. But outside of that...
Okay, yeah, so that answers, Because my concern with it is the concept that, how Realm v Realm combat really function with Pirates of the Burning Sea, as you know, is the fact that you could trade resources in that sense. You could share them and pool them. I lost a ship in PvP, and then my society mates gave me a new Tiger. Is there going to be less of that in Caribbean Conquest?
Well, so the way we're doing it is that the deeds, so the actual constructed ship itself, that's tradable, and that's fine. But it's the writ, the permission to sail it, not just someone saying you can, but actually earning the in-game right to sail it. That has to be earned. So I could give you a first rate, but if you don't have the renown to purchase the writ to be able to sail the first rate,
and obviously you use that writ up when you sail the ship. Could you?
It's used up. Yeah.
Could you stockpile those? Is it, or can you only? So, for example, could you participate in a variety of the lower tiered port battles, port conquests rather, and PvPs, and stockpile them for when bigger port conquests occur that you could then utilize the first rate, for example?
Oh, of course. Don't get me wrong, a first rate isn't something that disappears after one use.
Yeah,
it is yours until it's yours until it's sunk. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, if someone is able to earn quite a lot of first rates, their first rates are going to be much more than 15 renown. I should point that out. These are going to be even quite hard to earn.
Right.
But there's no reason at all why one player can't have more than one of these ships. Definitely not.
Okay. So it's to have. Is there going to be a maximum number of ships one could dock?
We are not completely sure on that.
Yeah, it's
just yet.
Days, of course.
But just to answer a question which may or may not come up, but also to allay any doubt, there will be a limit to the number and type of ships that are allowed in the larger port battles. So if you think of 48v48, your biggest, your biggest company can't come along with 48 first rates. The amount of first rates will be limited, and it will be limited to those who are responsible for actually causing the port flip to occur.
Okay. So like a priority system, for example.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I guess the problem with this is it's all dependent on having the right amount of players, isn't it?
Exactly, which
Yeah.
it is heavily dependent on players, but
Yeah.
for the early days, we will probably lower the, it won't be 48v48. It'll probably actually be sort of closer to 30v30s
Okay.
for the early ones.
So, I mean, my question is about the writs and the system of renown. Is I worry about the concept of it being like let's put this, a grind, perhaps, that you need to kind of continuously grind renown again and again, rather than just being the best PvPer or the best port conquester in your
Right.
society and receiving the commission from your teammates. If you see what I mean. Is it going to create a system where there needs to be quite a lot of individual grind to participate in the Realm v Realms, and with that, do you foresee that being perhaps a deterrent to some players?
All right. No. So this ties in with like the fact that we've got no leveling in our game. There's no
Yeah, I want to focus on that
experience
as well.
points, just experience. Yeah. So when you first play the game, you're given a default ship. So if you play the merchant class or free trader, you're given a default Indiaman, like a bare naked sort of ship. Or if you pick one of the combat oriented classes, you get a small frigate or
Yeah.
something. But what the point is that these ships are meant to be exploitable. They're meant to be used frequently. They're meant to be, if you want to charge things with your 6 group all night long and you don't want to cost anything, you can use these and you'll get given a new one, like your fallback, and it's fine. You're not going to do much with them.
Yeah.
But you're not going to do nothing with them. They're still a viable
Okay.
ship. And our balancing system, how the balancing system works so far, is that there's no inherent advantage to using outfittings. For example, like with Pirates of the Burning Sea, if you wanted to use a first drain, a port battle, there was a very set like, these are the outfittings you use.
Meta.
Use these outfittings, otherwise, your ship is no good.
Yeah.
We aren't going for that kind of system. We're going for the system like, sure, if you want to use really heavy cannons, that's fine. You won't be able to shoot further than you can, than 4 meters. But you'll have really heavy cannons. If you want to be really, really fast and sleek, that's fine. But you'll be shot down by swivels. It's everything in the game. If you want to outfit it, has a consequence. We don't call it outfitting. We call it specializing. You can specialize your ship, but if you specialize, then you've got some fallbacks. You've got your consequences, which are going to negatively affect you in some way. Yeah, and these will be, obvious. So, like I said, ship's really fast, you're pretty weak. Ship's really tanky, you're really slow. You got really light cannons, you don't do damage, but you can, reload faster.
Okay.
And that kind of carry on. So to answer the original question of, will I think there will be a grind? Well, in any game there always has to be a grind, and we're just doing our best to make sure it's a PvP grind as opposed to a PvE grind in our case.
That was going to be my next question.
Yeah, so with this, we are very heavily concentrating on the earlier tier for our, your open sea PvP. Your ships that you get given for free, and your ships that cost 1, 2, 3 renown. Those are the ones we're expecting to see the most of.
Right.
And so, yeah, and there's not a lot of grind to attain those.
Okay. Do you guys have a plan for if the game explodes in popularity? I mean, it is obviously unlikely that, again, niche genre for it to really explode. But do you guys have a plan for a huge explosion in popularity? Thousands more players than you could have anticipated. Because I mean, the problem with this, obviously, because it's quite a closed game, there's a limited amount of participation available. With limited numbers of port battles and a limited number of ports. Would you guys have a plan for if popularity does exceed your expectations?
Yeah, we would expand sort of into Europe.
Expand into Europe. Okay, cool.
Yeah, we would make the game bigger. I'm not sure if you've ever played Uncharted Waters online, but their game map, for lack of better words, is huge.
Yeah,
it's the world. And the way they've done their system is quite good. So we do think we can get away with expanding slightly more into Europe or South America, or that region. Add all the ports on as you go. It's basically just giving you more room to sail around on.
Yeah. Okay, makes sense. Just wanted to ask.
Yeah.
And briefly, do you want to talk about your leveling system? How there's no experience.
That's right.
So what? How do you feel like that will differ with? Most games have levels experience. You did mention the Kickstarter that there will be skills and that you will level up those skills. So do you want to talk about that?
Oh no, you don't level up the skills. You just select different
Oh, right.
skills. So
Sorry.
you can only have a certain number. Again, like Pirates of the Burning Sea, there are a plethora of skills offered to you. You can pick and choose which ones you want. You know,
Yeah.
which can better affect you. There is absolutely no leveling in the game because we don't want to encourage people to do null content. So we don't want people to form up, fleeting groups
Yeah.
and shoot the NPCs for 6 hours. I mean, there are
Everyone
definitely
love
players
that.
out there. Exactly. There are players out there, and we will probably deter them by saying this, that absolutely love PvE, and we will definitely have a PvE element, but it's not going to be encouraged. It's not going to be the first thing we work on. We're not going to have it very rewarding. Um, there will be obviously there will be grinding. There will be a full like there will be storyline quests. There's all that stuff. That's already written. That's already been designed. Everything how we want it to work. It's already there.
Yeah.
But yeah, so no levels is something that we've got to work the kinks out of because the hardest part and what we're working on now, the absolute hardest part about having a game that has no levels, is to say, all right, I've just made my character and I've just logged into the game. What's the first thing I do? Because in a game with levels, the first thing you do is you do the tutorial missions and you level up and you start leveling up, and that's what you do for the next few weeks.
Yeah.
In a game like this, yeah, you do the tutorial missions and then you're kind of on your own, and that is where we are. I'll admit it is something that we have to work on because people need direction in a game that's that they're just playing for the first time. Not a lot, but they need to know where things are, and we've got to incorporate that into a way. Perhaps with a few tutorial quests early on, but nothing that sort of says, "Cool, well, you've started off in a newbie ship that you started off in your little sloop, and now here's a 48 gun frigate. Go nuts." So that is for us where we think we're going to run into the most trouble, is that a leveling system encourages a sleek, natural progression where you learn more and more about the game, whereas with no levels, you can be just as good as someone who's been playing for 5 years. As soon as you undock, you could beat them straight away if you know how. But how do you learn to know how? That's where we are right now.
So I think the main thing I take away from that is about PvE, and I think that's a pretty big feature. I think that I hadn't really seen publicized, the idea that it's not going to be PvE focused very much at all. Is that right to say that?
It's definitely a PvP game. Yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, do you think that is PvP enough? Because I mean, the thing with Pirates of the Burning Sea is I felt like there was quite an even split between people who liked the PvP and just people who just liked the intricate questing. Is there going to be like a questing system? Is there going to be the stories, the forts?
Oh yeah, absolutely. All the stories, they're already written. Everything. We've encouraged that.
Right.
The storyline, as much as we can, and we will have dailies and your epic quests and your epic arcs and all of that kind of stuff. They will absolutely be there, but we won't be updating it as frequently as as say Pirates of the Burning Sea did.
And no fleeting.
Well, there will be fleeting.
There will be fleeting. Okay.
There has to be. You got to make your money somehow if you want to do stuff. So there will be fleeting.
Okay, so I'll change no fleeting to some fleeting.
Yeah, but the fleeting will be. Actually, well, we used to judge Pirates of the Burning Sea for doing this early on, but now we are a little bit more impressed with what they've done. But the fleets will be largely. Well, there'll be a variety of them. There'll be a fleet, fleets that you can take on by yourself in a little frigate, and there'll be the fleets where you need your full 6 groups in third rates to take on because they're bigger than you, and yeah.
I think that's probably all the questions I have for you guys.
Fair.
Do you have any other comments you want to say?
No, not particularly. I mean, again, the trouble is with trying to sell a big game like this is that we've got to hit all the points because there'll be people out there. I'm sure some of your people will listen to this and have a question that neither of us have thought of.
Yeah, I think that's the fun thing about these is that you get exposed to new ideas. I mean, and it's a game in development, so I think it's important to to get that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I suppose if I had to say one last point, it would be that we are, for people who read our Kickstarter, people who learn about the game, we are encouraging you to poke holes in what we've said. We want you to break the game even before you've even had a chance to play it. I want you to ask me the questions that say, well, what if I do this, this, and this? And if it makes me go, shit, that's an exploit, then I'll have to readdress it. Because this is how we've been developing our game. You know, we've had all this on paper, and then, you know, sometimes it sticks, and then every now and then I might turn around and say to one of my associates, you know, hey, I could do this in the game, and that system's ruined, and then we're back to square one. You know, we've been through this many, many, many times. You know, everything that you could, you know, every potential exploit, anything people will do, and you know, I've been gaming for 15 years. All the people we've worked with have, so we are familiar with the types of things that people will do.
Yeah.
To you know, just to test out. And so if that would be the last comment I have to make, is that if you can, anything that I've said, anything I've read, if you can see a hole in it and I can't give you an answer for it, then that's a problem, and you know, that's going to be taken seriously.
Well, we can see if we can maybe try and drum some community hole poking, perhaps.
Definitely do it.
All right, so thank you so much for your time. Sorry to take an hour to talk to you about this. I mean, as you can tell, I'm pretty excited. Honestly.
It's good. Tell your friends.
Yeah, and I'll probably be pledging to Kickstarter later. So
that sounds good to me.
Yeah, I thought you might like that. So yeah, I'll put this up on my YouTube channel, and I'll also put the article version. I'll send that to you. How would you prefer it? The link through Skype or through Reddit?
Us through Skype is a lot easier. I'm always on the Skype.
Ah, cool. I'll send that to you once it's done in a couple of days.
Yeah, absolutely. If there are any more, like, you know, like if you need more stuff to beef up your article, just let me know and I can give you better answers. There might be you'll probably hang up and you'll think of something that you forgot to ask.
Almost certainly, yeah.
Yes.
All right, thank you so much
absolutely.
for your time.
Absolutely. No worries. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. Bye-bye.
It's all right. Bye.